With great love and respect in my heart, I welcome you to this beautiful Sunday morning. Before we begin today, let's take a moment to arrive and settle down. It's good to see you in the temple, and it's good to see you in your own temple, wherever you are. Just close your eyes, lighten your mind, invite that peace, calming, cooling sensation in your eyes. Relax the facial muscles, neck, shoulders, spine. Soften the belly and get grounded. Connect with the breath, flowing in and flowing out effortlessly. Holding the thought of lightness in your heart, just bring the attention to your heart. With the next breath in, think of expansion in your heart as the breath comes in. Expansion and contraction. The lotus opening and closing at the heart. And for a moment, pause the breath, holding the attention at the heart. Before you begin to stress out, release it. Again, when you are ready, pause the breath, holding the attention at the heart. In the beginning, there will be a little tightness, but mentally release that tightness. Release the breath. We'll try this again. Pause the breath, holding the attention at the heart. Just think of expansion. There may be a little anxiety of the breath, the retention. Release that anxiety. And again, resume the breath. Now, thinking of the stillness in your eyes, bring the attention to the center of the forehead. Again, the feeling of expansion and contraction at the center of the forehead. Then pausing the breath, stilling the eyes, let the mind rest in the center of the forehead. Visualizing, imagining bright white light. Breath is paused, eyes are stilled, mind is resting in that light. Release the breath. Light of pure consciousness. Thank you for taking this time. Open your eyes. This is a beautiful practice that anyone can do. Whenever you have a moment, just sitting, being with yourself, softening your whole body. Either eyes could be open or closed, pausing the breath. Pausing the breath. What happens when you pause the breath? There's a little anxiety that happens. Very mindfully, gracefully, deal with that anxiety. How do you deal with it? Just imagine the expansion, because when there is anxiousness, there is a tightness. You know that you can breathe if you want to, so there is no reason to be anxious. So very mindfully, you are causing this situation where you can experience anxiety, self-created anxiety. But you also know you have control over it. So this is a very beautiful practice for someone who experiences anxiety. You create in a very small dose, and then you practice how to release it. Holding the breath is a beautiful moment when it's held voluntarily. You have control over the situation. You can breathe when you want to. But to hold the breath and become aware of that anxiousness and then practice expansion. Just thinking about lightening your heart. Think about you have just taken a nice breath in. Prana, the life force, prana has come in. And something very precious is being absorbed in your system in that moment. Breath is not only air. Something very subtle comes dissolved in the breath. So when we are holding the breath, pausing the breath, also have this in your mind that you are absorbing something. So when your thought goes to absorbing something very precious, your mind that's gone back to anxiousness kind of comes back a little while. Then you again. So this looks like a very simple practice, but if it's done mindfully with determination, it does wonders. And it can be done anytime. Whenever you have a little moment during your 24 hours, maybe several times. Make a nice game out of it. Don't be too serious. Make it fun. Be a kid, just like the kids sometimes play with holding the breath, releasing the breath, hyperventilating. Something happens. So the kids do it with a certain mindset. We are all kids. We can just do it with a little bit more sacredness in it. We do all the things that we did in the childhood, but just the element of sacredness was missing. And if we just imbue it with sacredness, something happens. This practice is called Prana Sadhana, sadhana of Pran. Pran is the life force. And in all the yogic practices from various schools, breath is very important. And it's a wonderful tool to give a glimpse into our inner universe. So please don't think it's something very simple and it's not going to work. It is going to work if we give it its due respect. Whenever you are meditating, some of you are doing your job with your mala. Your mind is racing. You are trying to do your mantra job, but your mind is somewhere else. Hold the breath. Hold the breath. Continue whatever you are doing. Slowly release the breath Slowly welcome the breath. Continue doing your job. Let the breath dictate. When you hold the breath, mind comes home to check if everything is okay. The mind that gets busy with making all kinds of things, the moment we hold our breath, mind comes home, and then you can redirect it. We all have spiritual practice. All practices are good. What is important is how to stay in the remembrance of the practice. So no matter where you are, no matter what you are doing, if you could just stay in touch with your flow of prana, flow of breath. I watched Baba, Sarkar Baba, always, no matter what he was doing, he was sitting with somebody, he was talking to somebody, he was always in touch with this flow of the breath. He'll be sitting, listening, and checking which nostril is flowing, which nostril is blocked, and not to talk about it or not to show it or not to teach it, not to model it for that's the way he was. That was his way of staying in touch with the breath. So how can you do this? Yes, you are engaged, you are working, you are maybe every 5-10 minutes, just take a little break to really mindfully welcoming the breath and breathing out the breath. The spiritual practice should be very simple, not complicated. It should be so simple that you do not need anything. You do not need to believe in anything. You do not need to trust into anything. Start here. Start with the breath. No matter what you're doing, just take a pause. Welcome the breath, breathe out the breath. And if you remember a little bit more, pause the breath and enter in that state of expansion. Pause the breath, you'll feel anxious. Expand it, release it. We have a problem, we have some situation, and our mind starts going. What are you going to do? You can't think more and try to solve it. You have to do something very concrete. And pausing the breath, connecting with that stillness, expanding the anxiousness, the tightness that happens because of anxiety, expanding it. It's a beautiful practice. It can be done several times in the day. Several times in the day. Whenever you have a moment, just stop from whatever you are doing, close your eyes, soften your body, pause the breath, then release it, welcome, and let go. There is a beautiful little story. A man had set out to look for a philosopher's stone. holy person met him, asked him, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm setting out to look for a philosopher's stone." In English, it is philosopher's stone. In Hindi, the name is Paras. Paras Patthar, stone, which is called Paras. And the quality of Paras Patthar is any metal touches it, that metal turns into gold. It could be a mythological stone. I haven't seen one. So he has set out to look for Paras Patthar. He was met by this holy person who asked him, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to find the Paras." He had it in his bag. He said, "I'll give it to you." He said, no, it's not. This couldn't be that simple. I just get out of my house and there is the Paras Patthar. Thank you, but I'm going to look for it. So this Paras Patthar that we are all looking for is really so close to us. It's right here within us, with us. But we set out to look for something more complicated, read more books and go to more seminars, go to this and that. It's all here. It's with you, within your reach. It's more about giving it its due respect and practicing. We can know the knowledge of all the scriptures, but unless we take time to practice it and value it, it doesn't come to us. We do not need to know more. We need to practice more. Take a little time. Yes, we can practice, and then in Kali Yuga, the most important thing for a spiritual aspirant is Sangha, the community, the company we keep. The company we keep. Like today, we are gathered in this temple and we are gathered virtually. This is the community we are keeping. At least we are thinking about breathing. We are thinking about being at peace. This is the benefit of gathering together, like-minded people, that we can think about it. And Babaji will say the same thing, remind it. And if I have forgotten, maybe I'll start it again. So today I wasn't going to say anything very exciting. I wanted to remind you of something very simple. And this little practice of Prana Sadhana. Take a little time, no matter where you are. Very voluntarily create the anxiety and be free from anxiety through what you already have. You don't need to know anything more. Carving out time. It's wonderful to see everybody in the temple, and it's very good to see you virtually in your virtual temple. Thank you all for taking this time. Please remember, we already know what we have to do. It's just recommitting our time to doing it. With this little thought, I will leave you and welcome your questions and your reflections.